The Mets are going to try and bounce back tonight after going toe-to-toe with the Dodgers in Friday night's 13-inning loss. So let's talk some Mets baseball with Tyler Ward, your favorite Mets content creator, to get you guys ready for the rest of the series. Wardy, we got to talk about the elephant in the room. Usually that's Juan Soto, but we need to talk about how much sleep did you get last night after having to drive all the way back to PA after, what they in at like 1 o'clock last night?
At least 1 o'clock. And you want to make matters worse? Right as I was about to leave, and I'm not complaining about it because I was happy to help, but I was pulled aside because I had to jump someone's car as well.
Okay.
So it was
all right.
a very, very late night yesterday.
All right, Tyler Ward, a man of the people. Can we talk about somebody who is the man, but the people aren't really feeling his performances right now? Juan Soto, obviously, he went 0 for 5 with a walk after telling the New York Post, John Heyman, that it's taking a little time to adjust to his new team. I don't know how many times I can continue to say it's still early, Wardy, but where would you say rock bottom would be for Soto in the eyes of the fan base?
I think in the sense of rock bottom with the fan base, we're kind of already there, just in the sense of how bad has Juan Soto been over the past 10 games. He's been not great. I mean, that's an understatement, really, since that Subway Series matchup, which is kind of crazy to say because he entered that Subway Series matchup with an OPS over 940 in the month of May, looking very strong, but he really hasn't hit much at all since then. And he's only batting a $120 over his past 7 games. If you go over his past 10 games, he's only batting a $143, very uncharacteristic for Soto. And there's no denying that he obviously is continuing to press big time, not just because of the contract and the demands that come along with it, but knowing that he is now the go-to guy in Queens, with the exception of Lindor being the captain, getting paid the big bucks, and when he is not having the results that he wants, it really feels like it's weighing on him 10 times more than it has previously in his career because he just simply hasn't had this kind of adversity with this same expectation. You know, we think of his time with the Yankees last year and a walk year where Aaron Judge behind him. It was very easy for him to just cruise throughout the year knowing that Aaron Judge was the face of the organization. But after signing the largest contract in North American sports history, regardless of Lindor being the talking head and the face of the team from a captaincy standpoint, Soto is without question the face now from an offensive standpoint. So the more that he labors, the more that's continued to weigh on him. And we're clearly seeing the at-bats last night. Some of them were just brutal, topping over ground balls there for soft outs when all we needed was a clutch sac fly or a hit at some point to win it after they rallied in the ninth. I mean, I can go on and on, Brandon, but we just got to hope that things go upward from here.
I just want him to get his confidence back, man. Like a Space Jam reference, seems like the Monstars has just completely taken his powers right now. You know, I want the Michael Jordan Soto to just come out. And I guess baseball, basketball, different reference. But you remember in Space Jam when like Jordan stretched out, came through in the clutch, dunked it. They beat the Toon Squad, beats the Monstars. He needs a moment like that, man. And it's just like the dude looks like he's just not having fun right now, Wardy. So hopefully he can turn it on sooner than later. But let's break it down. Let's talk about the team as a whole because there's more players on this roster than just Juan Soto. Not being able to score with runners in scoring position did the Mets in again Friday night. You can't beat the defending world champs without finishing your food, a.k.a. bringing runners in. At this point, Carlos Mendoza has already made some changes to the lineup and batting order. So two-part question. Does he need to shuffle even more? And if not, what does he need to do to get the bats going consistently to bring some runs in?
It's a great question because I think we can all agree, Brandon, every team goes through the ebbs and flows of a 162 where you have your highs and you have your lows. It's just a matter of how long are your lows and how high are your highs. The problem for the Mets right now is that now that they've dropped to being 3 games out of first place there in the NL East, and that is not the end of the world by any stretch in the first half of the season, but knowing the ground that they initially had gained around 5 games or so, to lose all that, and with this continued notion of not hitting when they need to clutch up most, because at first we're thinking, okay, they rally back in the 9th inning, that's electric, but they just prolonged a disastrous inevitable roughly 2 hours later there going into the 13th inning. So what do the Mets need to do better here? Well, Carlos Mendoza initially wanted Mark Vientos to bat in the 2-hole for the Mets this past night. That didn't happen as he was a late game scratch there for an abdominal issue, and he should be back in the lineup as soon as today, potentially. So we're going to look to see what guys like Vientos can potentially do thriving the two-hole. That's a spot where he's had success this past season, especially where he broke out for his 27 home run season to a degree. And then we also look at other aspects of this lineup, specifically not just Soto and Alonso, in which Alonso now has one of the longest droughts ever in which he has hit a home run last. I'm pretty sure he's tied for the longest drought ever in games since he's hit a bomb. So we need to get him going. And the question is, you can do only so much lineup shuffling to then get these guys in a groove. It comes down to the collective mentality. And Brandon, there's been one thing that's really nipped this team in the butt over the past couple of years, and that's been when they've had their issues, it's been a collective issue. It's not like just one or two batters aren't stepping up. It's the vast majority of them. So that's where it does lean on to a degree in Carlos Mendoza to get these guys mentally sound and mentally right and make sure that they're taking everything game by game. Because with guys like Soto right now and to a degree Alonso, among others, they're pressing at this point in the season so pronounced from what they were otherwise dominating the first month of the season. And we're seeing their continued struggles in handling that early adversity. So it's something that we're going to have to pay a close attention to see how Carlos Mendoza nips this in the butt and tries to obviously get on top of it.
It's almost like when this team's not having fun, that's when everyone goes through some sort of a drought. Like we don't see a grimace. We're not seeing a OMG. We're not seeing, they were able to be in first place for a while, and they started hot at the beginning of the season. But it's like once they lose like that fun or stop having fun with the game, that's when everyone starts to struggle. So they got 2 games left in this series, Wardy. First pitch for game 2 is going to be in a couple of hours. The Mets have actually lost 6 of the last 8. How big are these next 2 games at Citi Field in terms of using it as a measuring stick against the LA Dodgers?
I think it's monstrous in the sense of where the team is currently at minimum, right? You lost your past couple of series against 2 storied franchises in the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, both on the road. And if you lose another consecutive series, this time against the Dodgers, you're really not setting yourself up for anything on the success-wise, other than hoping that next time you match up against the Dodgers, which is, mind you, a week or so from now, the Mets are in LA to begin their series in LA. So there's a quick turnaround with them playing the Dodgers a lot. So no better time to start pouncing on them than right now. The Game 2 matchup has a favorable pitching matchup for the Mets, at least on paper, with David Pearson toeing the rubber against Tony Gonsolin. Tony has fluctuated with his health the past couple of years. He's solid when he's on, but he hasn't been the same he was a couple of years ago. And then you have Game 3, the series finale, tomorrow, the time of us coming out with this video, and you got Knack on the bump there for the Dodgers, and you got Kodai Senga, our ace for the Mets. So the Mets really need to lean into more with their pitching. I firmly believe that the outcome would have been different yesterday if Griffin Canning and Clayton Kershaw weren't done after just 2 innings because of the very prolonged rain delay. So it's imperative for them to lean on their pitching because that's what's helped carry them so far this season. But also, they just need to get some type of balance with situational hitting. I'm not expecting the Mets to bat 500 out here with runners in scoring position, but I'm just asking, for a minimum, I don't know, a 250 average or so. Like, they've had endless opportunities, it feels like, almost on a game-by-game basis for the vast majority of the season that they just have not been able to clutch up the way that they did so brilliantly throughout the good chunk of the summer that we saw in the OMG-esque Mets, if you will, there last year.
Tyler Ward, thanks for your time, my man.
Thank you, Brandon.